Hello everyone, I am Bharti Sharma, your host on AADYA Geo Talks. Today is our National Space Day. India is celebrating National Space Day for the very first time. On 23rd August in 2023, Chandrayaan-3 made a successful landing on the south pole of Moon. To celebrate this day, India has announced that on every 23rd of August, India will celebrate National Space Day. At AADYA, we strive to connect science with stories that inspire, educate, and empower. Today, we have an incredible guest whose journey is not only fascinating but also deeply inspiring for anyone interested in mysteries of life and space. Today, our guest is Miss Selene Cannelli, an archaeobiologist who's also a rugby athlete and an analog astronaut. Also an analog astronaut. She has previously worked on Blue Marble Space and currently she's a graduate student at Earth Life Science Institute in Tokyo. And she's a passionate science communicator. She manages the Spaces for All platform, Spaces for You platform, which highlights how space exploration benefits life on Earth. She has also led a team that won the 2021 Moon Base Design Competition by the Moon Society. And now she is the national point of contact for Space Generation Advisory Council, SGAC Italy. With such an impressive and diverse background, she is a great storyteller, and we are thrilled to dive into her journey today. Your journey, first of all, welcome to this episode, Selene, and I'm so happy that you accepted the invitation.
Thanks to you. I didn't realize I was coming here for this special day. It's really incredible. Like I watched the Indian missions take place through last year, and it's really remarkable what the country has been able to achieve in such a short time.
Thank you. Yeah, because India's space journey has started from since a long ago, but we just accelerated through the mid or maybe late 2000s, and
Yeah,
now it's going at an exponential rate.
it is.
So let's talk about your journey into archaeobiology and space exploration. So I saw your LinkedIn profile and I saw your SGAC profile, and I was so impressed that at such a young age you are doing so many great things. So how you found this archaeobiology as your spirit, or how do you find your position at Blue Marble Space and currently at ELSI in Tokyo?
Yeah. So thanks for the young age. I don't feel anymore. I'm like I'm in my 30s. So, but thanks. And how did I? I think it was like a really long journey. Since I was a kid, uh, I was always looking at the moon, at the stars, always like what's going to be there. Because the other passion that I have is archaeology. So it's like looking, understanding, studying the past. I was like obsessed with dinosaurs. And kind of like I wanted to explore Earth, the world, understand like what are the cultures, and at the same time, what's up there outside of Earth. Uh, so I think those two things kind of always were together. But then there was a time where I kind of put aside, let's say, space-related things because I'm coming from a small town, and let's say back in the early 2000s, like what is space? Like don't like how do you dare? Not how do you dare, but like oh, it's not how you dare, but it's like uh, you know, don't dream too big. Keep your feet on the ground. And so I was like, you know what, okay, I still like archaeology. So I did my undergrad in archaeology after I took a couple of years off after high school. And after my undergrad, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what to do. So I took 2 years off. But then I was like, you know what? I want to study the history of Earth, but more looking at the evolution of DNA. And so I went to a master in molecular biology because I hoped to learn like how to reconstruct ancient DNA, like both human or animals, and so see how we change through history. But then it's like at the end of my first year of my master's, I found out about astrobiology. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, okay, maybe there is also a place for me in the space sector, even if I'm not an
Mm-hmm.
engineer or physicist. I didn't do anything related to astrobiology in my master's.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, did my thesis on viruses, extracting viruses from ocean waters and
Mm-hmm.
analyzing them. So something completely different. Um, but then I graduated in 2019, and then COVID came, and that's when I was like, existential crisis. What do we do? Uh, and then I was hooked with astrobiology. I looked up online, started to search things, and I actually found the Space Generation Advisory Council,
Mm-hmm.
where it gave me the opportunity to join the team for the moon-based competition to create a moon village. And from there, uh, what happened was like, it showed me what I could do. And so it started kind of my journey into the space sector. And what I did, I was looking for a PhD. I couldn't find any, but then I found the Blue Marble Space Institute. And because I was already graduated, uh, what they do, they have two kind of programs. One for people that are enrolled in their undergrads, where they can become, I don't remember the exact name, but like young
It's
scientist,
young
something like
yeah, young
scientist.
scientist program, and the other one is
Yeah,
visiting scholar program. Yeah.
yeah. So I looked up the people over
Mm-hmm.
there, and I found this professor that it's actually based in ELSI, where I am now,
Mm-hmm.
that was looking to do a review about how maybe the first cell formed on early Earth. And so I wrote to him, we talked, I applied as a visiting scholar because I was already graduating. And for 1 year, I worked together with him and other, I think, 4 undergraduate students, and together we wrote a paper. So yes, the Marble Space Institute helped me to actually publish my first paper, which in academia is something that you need, something
Yes.
like that it's valued. And from there, I found out ELSI as well, because yeah, since archaeology, and since a kid, I was hooked up with the origin of life. I just had this question like, how? What happened to make this happen? And so ELSI, it's really focused on origin of life, but the beauty is that it's not just like you just have biologists here. You have people who that do chemistry, geology, astrophysics, astrochemistry. So it's like it's a truly interdisciplinary place, and where you can explore more. And what I did, I applied, I went through the university process. Before I contacted my supervisor, I was like, look, I know nothing about chemistry, kind of. I know the really basics, but I really want to to study how the interaction between minerals and early molecules could have interacted together to actually originate life. So it was this kind of blending of my archaeology background, my molecular biology master, that made me think, okay, before biology, before us, there was chemistry.
Yeah.
But one thing that was always present on Earth, it was rocks. So did they actually played a role in the emergence of life, not just on Earth, but also can they play a role in other planets? So it's like, I pitched him the idea. We went through the process. I did my interview, and then here I am doing something like now from archaeology, molecular biology. Now I'm doing basically probiotic chemistry and trying to understand how to do it.
Oh, wow. So your timeline is quite similar to what I am like what my timeline was or is currently. And yeah, apart from PhD, we are on the same page, I believe. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this story resembles to mine a lot. So I am not working in the origin of
Mm-hmm.
life, but I do work on the analog studies, and I am like drawing parallels between all the analogs on Earth and seeing how they are connected to Mars or Moon. So you actually talked a lot for my second question as well. But if you want to add more, what this project is like, how this project at ELSI is shaping your understanding of the fundamental question about life's beginning. Could you share a bit insights about your project? Is it okay to share? If
Yeah, I can share. Yeah,
okay.
I'll share what I can. So, yeah, I guess connect to what I said before. I wanted to do this project because I truly believe that minerals, they did play a role in the emergence of life. And so what I'm doing now is actually working with hydrothermal vents minerals. And one thing, I don't know how many people know hydrothermal vents, but they're like these huge chimneys, let's say, kind of mini volcanoes down at the bottom of the ocean. They can be like 60 meters, 40 meters high, but also 10 meters high. And there are many different types of these hydrothermal vents. The issue is that they can be found at really, really like ocean depths, like 500-meter depths, even below, which made it really hard for scientists, for everyone to actually study them. So hydrothermal vent is actually a theory in the emergence of life that placed them as a possible environment where the first cell form of life developed, because they had minerals, they had this disequilibrium environment, meaning in this equilibrium nothing is stable, but many things are happening, things are always changing, which means they could have been a source of energy. Because when we're talking about life needs energy. So what was the first form of energy that allowed all the reactions to happen? And hydrothermal vents, they're like fascinating because they are in disequilibrium. So probably they had this source of energy, especially different pH between inside and outside the hydrothermal vent. But so we had the challenge, how do we replicate them if they're like 500 meters on the ocean floor? So there was this challenge, and we kind of swing it, let's say, by using microfluidics. And microfluidics, it's basically flow chemistry. I have like a Y-shape chip. On one side, I put one fluid. On the other side, I put another fluid. Then they create a laminar flow. And in the middle, so at the interface of both flows, the mineral starts to form. And so this mineral is replicating what we believe was the composition of ancient hydrothermal vent, or at least close by, because the geological record, it doesn't really show us what was the environment at that time and the early stages of Earth. So we're replicating the mineral inside this chip, and then I'm passing other molecules to see how they interact with the mineral. And so do they form cells, or does something else happen? Maybe like the mineral structure itself changes because it's in this interaction with these molecules. So in a nutshell, that's what I'm doing. So completely different from what I've been done before, but it's great because origin of life, like archaeology, they're really interdisciplinary fields. Like in archaeology, you have to know a little bit of biology, stratigraphy, so geology, bit of biology. And here I feel like I'm learning how to put together, again, like different fields, like chemistry, organic chemistry, and then at the same time develop like this microfluidic setup, which is fully new for me, but it's like, it's quite exciting because what's the beauty about this project, about origin of life? Like, yes, we want to answer question, how did life originate? But what actually, like through studying the emergence of life, you actually study the mechanisms that allowed life to emerge. Like I'm studying the mechanisms that make this, that creates the mineral. So how does the mixture of these two fluids create the mineral? How does the interaction, what is the mechanisms between the mineral and the molecules that allow the molecules maybe to aggregate together and form ancient cell-like structure. So people think, oh, you're studying origin of life. You have nothing to do like maybe with the modern world or like what's good for. But actually, if you study the origin of life, you're studying the basic science, like how things happen. And this can also be applied, to current technology, biotechnology, like health related, like pharmaceutical, because it's about, for example, in my case, it's can mineral like provide this pH gradient, like can there be a catalyst, energy source. So this maybe can be applied to develop better medicines, or I don't know. I'm not like into health, but once you understand the basics of a concept, like how reactions happen, how this interaction, like what's leading this interaction, how energy especially is transferred, then you can apply to many other fields.
I totally agree with you have to know the origin and you have to know the basics, because in geology we say past is the key to the present. So if we know our past better, we will know our what is going to be in our present and what is going to be in our future. And the origin of life, like for a normal person living in other country, they'll not understand what is the purpose of this project. But as you said rightly, yeah, it could be used for pharmaceutical, it could be used for new space exploration. When we are going to moon or Mars or to any other rocky planet, we could search for life in hydrothermal vents. So that's why studying them is important. What is the mechanism of it? And yeah, what my question was, like, hydrothermal vents, where is your field work? But you said that it is like in situ program. So that's wonderful that you are actually replicating the hydrothermal vents. So now jumping to your previous accomplishments, sorry. So you led a team to 2021 moon-based competition and you won that competition. So tell us more about it. What was that competition? How you found out about it, and who was your teammates, and what was the project actually? Give us some insights.
So the insight, cool. So the project I founded because through the Space Generation Advisory Council, which we abbreviate in SGC. And what SGC has, it's basically SGC. It's this international organization for young professionals and students up to 35 years old of age, and they represent us, the new space generation, at the UN seats, but also with other companies. So the aim of SGC is also to spread the voice of the new generation so that we can have a more sustainable and more peaceful future for space in general, both on Earth and outside when we'll go and explore other planets. And to do so, they have different things. So one of their activities, it's working groups. So right now there are like, I think 11, 12 working groups. Yeah. And one, it's about one is about diversity, one is about ethics and laws, engineering. They just started an startup accelerator program because they have the economy group. So there are a lot, and all of them with different topics, like the space safety and sustainability. But because I wanted to go into space exploration, I joined the space exploration project group. And at that time, they put this call to form a team, because there was this competition. And the competition was about creating a near future moon base on the moon that would gather for I forgot, maybe up to 30 people. And yeah, those were the requirements. So they had these things open. I was like, I just found out about SGC, didn't know anything at all about space. And they were looking for colleagues. I was like, I started to type an application. I was about to send it. I'm like, you know what? They either say, yes or no. So I just applied for a co-lead position. And then with my surprise, I got it.
Wow.
Because I was really surprised because, okay, I did have experience through my master. I was a postgraduate officer, so I did have experience like managing teams, like big teams, and represented at like university level. But I had nothing to do with space up until the moment. So I was like, what is happening? And so I didn't really like to call myself. Yeah, I was a lead, but I feel like I was more managing because so the team itself, we were maybe 15 members, and it was amazing because we were 15 members from different countries, different backgrounds. So it's like I feel how every team working on on space-related topic should be interdisciplinary, multicultural, to have these ideas that can match with each other, and then you clash, but then you have to come up with solutions to kind of like to come to an agreement, to a compromise. So we're managing like different time zones. It was crazy and great at the same time. But it was good because at the time there was still COVID. So we're like on the weekend, it's not like we were like, let's go out. So it was easy because there were still some constraints. So like on the weekends, like once every 2 weeks we would meet. We had what we had a really big meeting at the beginning, and then we divided ourselves into teams. There was people that they prefer to work on the moon, on the base actual structure. Other people like to work on the architecture inside the base. Other ones on, okay, what kind of experiments can we do? Other people like, okay, let's do space tourism. I was involved with people that were doing more society as well. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do a space museum, and this is how. And that's also like the first time where I understood like I could apply archaeology practices into space exploration, because in that project I started to move the idea of doing space museum inside the base, but also like outside, like what are the heritage sites on the moon that are worth like making them heritage sites, like the first footsteps on the moon. So it's like, you have these heritage sites outside the moon, and then you create space tourism where they go and visit those sites. And at the same time, we're gonna have environmental protection. How do we protect moon environment? Because once we go there, once we put like the first brick for our base, we will shape forever the surface of the moon. It will never be as it is now. So how do we not protect, but how do we show the future generations what we were able to do by coming together? So it's like it was all these different teams, different idea, different like academic background. And some people were in different teams, and what we did each week, each team had a meeting, and then every 2 weeks we would come together and say, okay, what did you discuss? Okay, we discussed this, so how can we put our ideas together? Or okay, maybe I think we should put a greenhouse in the middle of the entrance. And they're like, it doesn't make sense, like for the engineering perspective. So it was like engineering, architects talking together, and it was really interesting. And what we came up with is that, we're on the moon. It's going to be really challenging, especially if you're staying for like a long amount of time, like let's say 6 months. And I think that's what made our project like the best one. We didn't just think about doing scientific experiments or, astronaut needs to work. We thought also about how can we make a base that people are happy to live in. So like we had a gym, a kitchen area where people could share meals, and maybe you cook an Indian meal, I cook an Italian meal, and then we share them. So how do we promote also interaction between the crew members? It's not just like them working, but it's also about creating a connection. And so it was like not just this scene, okay, we go to the moon to work and to do science. No, we go there, yes, to work, to do science, but also to create new connection between people coming from different seated backgrounds from Earth. So it was challenging. Like we didn't think, like we knew our project, it was good. Like we had people doing the rendering, like the images, they were amazing. But yeah, like I still remember the girl that actually submitted the report to the Moon Society, like after a few weeks, she just like, holy cow, we won. I'm like, is this real?
But honestly, this is such a nice project. I don't know what other entries were, but this looks very, promising project. And this is the need of the hour. Like this should be the need of the hour for the space policy makers and those who are like, making things actual on Moon or Mars. We had to have a holistic approach when we are colonizing the other planets. So it's important. And it was such a great project. Even I'm impressed, yeah. It's so nice.
Thanks. It was fun.
So you are a born leader, I must say, because you led such a great team and you came out with such a great project. And now you are representing Italy on SGAC as a national point of contact, right? So tell me, what is this role and what are your responsibilities with this?
So I just finished my term as the national point of contact with SGC in like a couple. Okay, I'm losing track of time. I think it was April, around April, May. I finished my term. So I was there for 2 years. And why did I even apply? It's because one thing growing up in Italy about space is that what I saw is that you do space if you're an engineer or if you're a physicist. I didn't see any other opportunities. But then, like by doing this project, this very first project, the moon base, I saw like I could apply my own background, like an archaeology background, to the space sector. And so one thing I wanted to promote this kind of interdisciplinary approach. So space doesn't just need engineers, but needs like scientists, teachers, designers, business people. Like it's just like any other
space is for all
job. Yeah. So that's one thing that drove me to like I wanted to kind of put this outreach more. The space is truly for everyone, independent of what they studied. And another thing, I wanted to try and make a stronger Italian community because like we're everywhere, like in the space sector. I feel like people work a lot. There are a lot of Italians working in the space sector, but I feel like we're not talking with each other.
So you want to connect the community together.
Yeah, it was especially like for the students and young professionals. I hoped the aim was to make SGC a place where you can go. Like for example, we have a WhatsApp channel, so like people could go there and say, "Oh, I'm going to this event. Who's there?" So like actually starting a community from student to young professional. Then after, once they graduated from SGC, it could carry on, and to also like start to collaborate with other association. Like for example, we started to talk and collaborate with SEDS Italy. So doing webinars together, showing students, okay, because SEDS, so it's a space exploration. I'm really bad with acronyms. So it's a space exploration. It's an association for students, so only for students. It doesn't matter like undergrads, master, PhD. But once you're graduating from university, you cannot join them anymore. So like they go there, they become part of SEDS, the project, but then the graduate is like, great, what am I doing now? And so the next thing, okay, you graduated from SETS, but you can still be part of SGC. So it's like kind of created this synergy also between different associations in Italy. So, and another thing that actually we did together with the other national point of contact, it was to improve an event that we held each year, which is called the Italian Space Startup Competition. And it was amazing because this year we had it in the Italian Space Agency, like with the highest number of participants, also coming from outside of Italy. So, and I mean, I didn't really organize. I selected a team together with the other point of contact, and we just like give advice on like how to move. So like the team that organized this year event, like they really went above and beyond, like dedicating that time. So yeah, it was like what I applied for national point of contact is to show people spaces for everyone, but also, yeah, like for me, it was really important to start creating more a community between in Italy, but also with other associations, so that, you know, slowly but slowly we can also after SGC we can continue to communicate with each other and show, okay, this is what we can do.
Yeah, that's great because even I believe that there are so many opportunities for everyone, and space is such a diverse field that you can apply your own background into it and collaborate with other backgrounds. But not many people know about it. Not many people are aware of these opportunities. So it's such a great and noble cause that you did with the SGAC National Point of Contact. So, like your space journey has involved a lot of leadership roles, and you're an analog astronaut as well. So let's talk about it. Where you like, now this is the time I should be an analog astronaut as well. And I am pretty sure everyone who's working in space sector, they wants to be an astronaut for sure. And before being an astronaut, we all get the opportunity to be an analog astronaut, and such a great opportunity. So, what was your experience as an analog astronaut, and what was your responsibility? We all have a role, like in the team. So, what was your role, and how was the experience?
Yeah, the role was a little bit weird. So we were supposed to have a student that does medicine, but it bailed out like what 1 week before the mission started. So we entered the mission and we started to decide the roles. And because I have during like for a couple of years, I was I was volunteering inside the ambulance. So I got all the training like PCR and PCR?
PCR, yes.
Yeah, okay. And so on. So I was like the only person from the team that had like kind of more medical training. And so they're like, oh, it's okay, you'll be the medical officer. I'm like, sorry, what? So I was assigned as a medical officer. Like and my role was to take the parameters in the morning, which included analyzing the urine of each of us. And then, yeah, like luckily, when I did the mission, no emergency happened. So I was a happy novice medical officer. So it went well. But yeah, it's one thing, like I wanted to do the mission. I wanted to try to be an analog astronaut because at the time I thought was the closest thing to be an astronaut, which I think yes and no, because you get some training before, but it's not like nothing like hardcore, like future astronauts, like selected people to become astronauts do. But it's like it was amazing because I really enjoyed it. It's like you're not recluded to do like one single thing, but you have to do multiple things. You have to do multiple tasks. Like, and these multiple tasks, they're not even within your area of expertise. Like, I had to take care of cockroaches, like Madagascar cockroaches, which if you touch them, they hiss a little bit. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it was amazing. Like, and one of them was pregnant. And we had to try, if the babies were born at the time that we were still in the mission, we had to try and pipette out the milk because it has some protein, some special proteins. We would have sent it to a lab to analyze it. Unfortunately, the cockroach had an abortion, so we didn't get to pipette the milk. It was actually quite sad. But and, you know, we had a hydroponic, aquaponic, kind of like really small rectangular agriculture place where at the bottom there were fishes, and then we had some vegetables, so we had to take care of the fishes as well. So it's like, I really like that part, and it's just I don't know, it showed like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to be stuck in a place where I just have to do one thing every single day. It's like being able to actually, you know, maybe in the morning you take the parameters, but then in the afternoon you go and take care of the cockroaches or the fishes. And then you have to do these experiments. It's not just one experiment, it's multiple experiments requiring different skills. And inside there, I was like, how can I apply my own archaeology background? So like, I put kind of an interactive space museum to show people, like future analog astronauts, okay, this is what has been done in this habitat up to now. For example, they took the kombucha, they made kombucha inside, then they took the film and they dried it. And with the dried film, you could do a lot of things. Like it could be, you could cover food, for example, or other things to prevent like to go rotten. And so I put a little piece of this in the museum to show, okay, this is what people have done. How can you move this project forward? So it was kind of this interactive museum idea where it's not like there and you don't touch it. It's there for you to touch and see like, okay, how can I improve this scene, or like how can I move forward the project? So that was fun. But yeah, I think that, and one other thing,
you go on.
One other thing that actually caught me really by surprise, that this habitat didn't have any window. So I was at the Analog Astronaut Training Center in Poland, and inside it was full of aluminum foil. So it was actually like, it felt we were outside of everything, and no windows. So we also had to, like, we had an oxygen, like a pump that was putting in air from the outside. So we had to actually monitor the CO2 inside the habitat and then adjust accordingly, like the bulbs of the open air to see, okay, this room has low the CO, as high CO2. This room it's okay, so let's adjust. So it was an incredible experience. I would love to do it again because it really showed like it helped me to understand what I really like, but also to show I can do this. So confident boost.
Yes,
I guess.
I agree with this because these missions kind of, you know, push you to out of your comfort zone and in your growth zone because you are handling a lot of things. Like you were a medical officer, though you had a training, but like it was an incredible experience. I can totally sense it from your answer. So you are now in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and now you are managing spaces for you. How you are managing all of these things together, and what is this initiative of yours, and what is the objective of it? Like, tell us about Spaces for You. It's such a good name, Spaces for You.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't come up with that name. So what happened? Other two people actually started it, and then I came along. And I started to manage it. And how I'm managing actually everything together, I'm doing quite bad sometimes, most of the time. Because before starting, because you also need to find this balance and understand like what are your priorities. Yes. I was like, okay, once started the graduate program here in Tokyo, I was like, okay, Spaces for You is not my priority anymore. So I need to put less time on it, which I'm doing, maybe even too less time, which is slowly like getting updated. But I guess that's also life, understanding what's important for you, and how to manage it. But yeah, what happened? They actually had an interview to be involved in the project at the very beginning, and I gave some ideas, but then another person came in, and I arrived once, for example, the website was already set up, and I arrived like a few months later. But what is the aim? It's kind of connecting to what we talked before, is to show that actually space is not just for engineers or physicists, but we need everyone. Actually, every single profession it's needed in the space sector. So one thing was to take applications. So contact lenses. We have contact lenses because we did experiments in microgravity inside the International Space Stations. So taking all of these experiments that were done on the ISS. Well, actually, yes, okay, they were done on the ISS, but they were done on the ISS because of these diverse conditions. So they, like, using microgravity environment compared to the gravity of Earth, that allows you to have different characteristics, for example, in a chemical reaction or other things. So it was to show, okay, we're doing experiments in space, but for a good reason. Like, we gave you contact lenses, you're welcome. Without the ISS, maybe who knows how long would have been. Like, another thing is the foam mattresses, like the one that they don't have like the bouncing thing inside, but they're like this stick, and they adjust to the shape of your body when you sleep. They were developed for space, for I think the seats of the astronauts when they were going up, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, even if you're not like doing experiments with the aim to bring them back to Earth, we're developing technology to make the astronaut journey, for example, better. But then everything can be applied to life on Earth, like policies. So we have this huge issue now that Earth orbits, they're getting congested by debris. Yeah, and the satellites, they become debris sometimes. And so they can be dangerous for future missions. But they are dangerous now for the ISS, for example, and for the astronauts. So how can we like come together and make policies to make sure this doesn't happen? And if we can make policies for Earth orbit's environment, maybe we can have better policies to protect our oceans, because oceans and Earth orbits, we can see they kind of run in parallels. It's really hard, especially in international waters, to have like hard laws that can protect the environment, especially like how can you protect hydrothermal vents? Like, how do you protect geological features found 500 meters below like sea level? So if we come together and like say, okay, this can be applied to Earth orbit, but then we can transfer this to also the ocean, or like the Antarctica, the Antarctic Treaty. Like, how do we manage Antarctica? So, of course, first we can do policies for Earth that can be transferred to Earth orbits or other planets, but I feel like they really run in parallel, that we can really learn from each other. And Spaces for You, it was about this, showing everyone has a place in the space sector, but also like, look, all that we have done in space, that actually more than space, and space exploration, it benefited Earth. Like GPS, we wouldn't have GPS without satellites. So we would be going around like 20 years ago with a paper map instead of our phones. So yeah, that was like the basic aim.
That's really great. And yeah, space, we all have a place in space, and I totally agree with the policies, because when you attract more people, you have to, have proper policies. Okay, this is coming, this new technology is coming. We have to be very sustainable for the future generations, because this is not what we are doing just for us, but for next 20, 30, 40 generations. And we have to save Earth as well, and we have to save our orbits and the other rocky planets and everything. That's such a noble cause.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, more than save Earth, we need to save ourselves because Earth will just like keep going.
yeah,
It's
with
us.
this
So
geological
it's
history
like,
in mind, we know that, dinosaurs came, lived, thrived, and then they went off. So we have to save ourselves. Yeah, so I saw this podcast, or it was a TEDx talk, and she was a space scientist, and she said we are doing space exploration not just for Earth, it's for us, because we are not dinosaurs. We have our own mind, and we want to save ourselves because Earth will change, the climate will change,
yeah,
and we don't want to be like dinosaurs that we extinct. So we have to save ourselves. So what we are doing, it's for us. It's not just to explore more things, but it's to save ourselves. So that's why space is
yeah.
important. And I was really moved by that line, that yeah, we are actually doing it for ourselves. We don't want to be like the extinct animal for next species.
Yeah. For the new species of archaeologists coming, like, oh, what
Yeah,
is this?
yeah, yes. So you wear many hats, Selene. Like, you are an archaeobiologist, you are a rugby athlete, you are an analog astronaut, you are a science communicator. How how you balance these diverse roles? Is it
Bad.
hard? Like, we already talked about that. It's sometimes bad for you to manage the work-life balance, but you prioritize.
Yeah.
But is there any particular role which you loved the most? Is it science communication, or your graduate degree at ELSI, or something else? Like, well, how you manage your priorities? Okay, this is
Yeah.
now important, and I want to do this. And are you gonna
Mhm.
diversify your roles into more things, or this is just
So
it?
I Yeah, so I guess how do I prioritize? The graduate course is the most
Most priority.
prioritizing thing at the moment. It's like it took me 3 years to also find it, so I do really care
Yeah.
about this position, like in my research that I'm doing, and also if I want to graduate, I think I need to prioritize it.
Price. Yes.
Uh, but yeah, I think I'm managing quite bad at the moment. Like for example, it depends by the week and week because sometimes, so since I'm prioritizing my research, sometimes I have to dedicate more time. Like some weeks I need to spend more time on my research than the others. So maybe the plans that I had at the beginning of the week, they just go couple. So I need to reorganize everything. And like, for example, at the moment, I know spaces for you, unfortunately, is the list of the priority. If someone wants to help, I'm really happy.
So,
But
audience, if you want to volunteer with her
yeah,
in spaces for you, please email her.
yeah, thanks. But I think like it also depends. Like for me, I've been doing sport since I was 4. So I don't see myself not doing it. And when people say, "Oh, you're doing sport, you are an athlete, you cannot do everything," true, but it's like I'm not like a professional that spends 5 hours each day at the gym. So I don't go like, for example, every day at the gym. I train maybe 3, 4 times maximum each week. And yeah, that's it. And it's not like 5 hours, but 2 hours, 3 hours. And honestly, we say we don't have time. Actually, I don't think it's fully true. Like we can always find 2 hours to do what we really want to, because our minds also needs that kind of break. Like I say to myself, sometimes I'm stuck like doing a presentation, and then I have like could be even sometimes 10 minutes break. It's refreshing because you come back with a really new perspective, or like you understand, like you have your ideas more clear, and so you know how to better phrase like a certain paragraph or how to organize a slide. So for me, like also doing sports, it's my relief. So it's my time for me, and that's what I'm doing. And about doing other hats, I'm okay now. Like we're organizing in ELSI the first um, astrobiology graduate conference for
Wow.
students and early careers that are currently in Japan.
Hmm.
So that one is keeping busy as well. So at the moment, I'm okay. I feel like when you want to do multiple things, you need to decide why are you doing it? Like,
Hmm.
what is the benefit? Is it your passion? Like, I don't know, it's gonna help you like develop a new skill that it's relevant for your future
Hmm.
career or for the future job you want to apply to. So I think do like you need to try a lot of things first of all.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'm always trying to do new things just to see
Hmm.
also how it feels like, what is involved with this. But then it's deciding what do I need now
Hmm.
and trying unfortunately to select because we cannot do everything just yet.
Yeah. So, like someone who is struggling with, because what I see in space sector that most of the people who are in space science or in space industry in general, they are, balancing or they are juggling it with multiple roles. They are engineers, they are geologists, or they are also an analog astronaut. They are leading some organization. They have their own startup. And is there any advice would you like to give to these younger generation who are juggling up with multiple things, how you can pursue multiple passions, how you can be
Maybe
like
I need the advice. No, I think it's like one thing is really to understand like is it worth putting your time into this? Because like one thing that I felt when I first started to join space
Hmm.
generation advisory council is that I need to do as much as I can because that's how I get my PhD. And
Hmm.
that's how I get my future work position if I don't get a PhD.
Yeah.
Because we need to face it, like the space sector, yes, it's for everyone, but it's really competitive
Yep.
most of
I
the
agree.
time,
Hmm.
job wise.
Hmm.
And so I was doing lot of things just to say I'm better than the
Hmm.
other candidate. But
Hmm.
then you need to consider, okay, you're doing 10 things. How good are you doing them? It's like, are you excelling in 10, which I really don't think so.
Yeah.
Or is that just like one thing they are excelling? So maybe you should focus on that one.
Hmm.
Or, maybe, um, I don't know, you're an engineer and you want to do CAD modeling. So
Hmm.
maybe like go into a project that allows
Hmm.
you to better have a grip on CAD.
Hmm.
So it's understanding you cannot do everything, unfortunately. Like job
Hmm.
studies, they will be competitive, but
Hmm.
if you like, I'm not saying you need to have like a straight kind of
Hmm.
view. You can have
Hmm.
a broad view, but having at least one thing they're really good at
Hmm.
and understanding how to improve that while also having like, um, other small things that you're comfortable with. So you still have an open mind.
Hmm.
It would be important. So don't have like 10 things at the same
Hmm.
time, but differentiate,
Yeah.
understand what is important for you
Hmm.
at the moment, maybe a skill to develop, or like, you need a vacation to clear your mind.
Hmm.
Don't do anything and do a vacation because that's another thing
Hmm.
that I feel it's not really talked about. We do all these
Hmm.
things, but then our health is kind
Hmm.
of, you know,
Yeah.
degrading. And we're like, I think the issue that comes with this is that you lose your passion
Hmm.
and your motivation to actually move forward.
Forward. Yeah.
So taking care of ourselves, like
Hmm.
what makes me happy, is also equally important to develop
Hmm.
your skill.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with this because you can be jack of all and you can't be master of none because in space you have to be master
Mm,
of at least one or two fields and then you have to be jack of all as well because it's such a
yeah,
diverse field. You are competing with, I don't think so that in space you are competing with only one country or two country or your national country. You are competing with everyone because we are kind
yeah,
of in a collaborative environment. So you are competing with everyone. So you have to prioritize things and then you have to balance your work-life balance and you have to focus on your mental health as well. This is another topic which we are facing with the space industry people mostly that,
yeah.
there's there's a lot of pressure on your mind because you have to be there because everything is going so fast suddenly that you are in a space race and you have to be
Yeah.
sane, you have to be calm, and then only you can excel in your career. So you have to be passionate about it and you have to balance everything. And yes, if anyone knows this advice, we too will be happy to receive it. So talking about your passion, I read the story on your LinkedIn biography that you discovered a fossil in your backyard. Would you like to tell us about that story?
Yeah, so what happened? Unfortunately, I didn't discover it. But it's how kind of not obsession, but like how I got interested into archaeology.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
one day, it was a summer day, this guy, this random guy, walked into like close to my house because
Hmm.
I live in the countryside,
Hmm.
and then he went off. And then I was there in the garden playing, and then I see this guy coming back with a plastic bag and inside bones. I'm like,
Huh.
what is this? And he was like, oh, I found some mammal's bones,
Hmm.
like not dinosaurs, but like saber tooth.
Hmm.
So the bigger mammals.
Hmm.
I found them just like over the hill. I was like, I have bones? I have fossils like close to my backyard? What? And so what I did, I picked up my brother and I made him go up the hill,
Hmm.
like in the heat of the summer, and
Oh
started
my
to
God.
dig randomly, like literally randomly. Of course, coming back home with zero, nothing. But it's like, I don't know, I really like the thing that you go there and you start, put
Hmm.
your hands, make your hands dirty,
Hmm.
look at the earth, like, and see like what it has, what mystery
Hmm.
actually has
Hmm.
to unveil, just maybe 1 inch beneath the
Hmm.
surface.
Hmm.
So I don't know, I found it was a really random thing, but it's the actual thing that hooked me up into like
Hmm.
exploring
Hmm.
and learning more about earth.
Yeah. So was it covered in some national TV or some newspaper?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
No, but I think the guy, like we had prehistoric museum
Mm-hmm.
in the town next to mine, and I think
Hmm.
he donated those fossils to
This,
that
okay.
museum, and I actually went and see them. It's like, those are mine.
Wow. So, Selene, I must say that you're an inspiration to so many people, to young professionals, to seniors as well. That look at her, she's doing so many things at once, and you are an inspiration to younger ones because you are, diversifying and you are opening new fields for everyone. This archaeobiology is very unknown field for most of us, and I must say you are truly an inspiration. Your incredible journey. Has moved a lot, especially me. I am so happy that, we are doing such a diverse role and I'm happy to connect with such a great lady. And do you, if somebody wants to be on your footstep, what advice or what motivation would you like to give it to them, just especially to younger generation who wants to be an archaeobiologist someday?
Hmm. Uh, it's hard because like being in my footstep, it means you don't know what to do with your life for a really long time. So for me, it was just about discovering
Hmm.
what I really want to do. Because even if I got my undergrad in archaeology, still I was left like it doesn't feel right.
Hmm.
But like there's something. No, it doesn't feel right. It felt right, but there was still something missing that I just couldn't understand what. It took me like till I was 30 to say this is what I want to do. When I actually like
Hmm.
learn I could have a place
Hmm.
in the space sector, like actually do scientific research in the origin of life and astrobiology. And archaeobiology is like, I didn't create the term, it already existed, and it's
Hmm.
basically mixing archaeology with molecular biology or biology. So doing like, for example, DNA analysis on
Hmm.
ancient bones or uh, other bacteria that you find uh, uncovered in the mud, or things like that. So it's like archaeobiology is that just the mixing of two disciplines coming together to study the past. Uh, so I never aimed, let's say, to be an inspiration. Like what I did, I tried to be not try to be on inspiration, but try to actually understand where is my path, because I don't feel like to say I have one role model, because I don't know, everyone is different. So maybe I have, you can have multiple role models and say,
Yeah.
this person did this person did that. And I really like for these specific things, because no one, I think, is perfect and no one is the same. Like we're all different.
Different.
So I think owing like how different you are and follow that path, because like if I would have actually listened to my high school professor, like physics professor, actually wanted to go into astrophysics somehow for my undergrad, and it's like, you know what, you shouldn't. You need to move cities, and it's hard. I'm like, you know what, okay, whatever. So I didn't do it, but it's okay. I didn't do it because then it allowed me like to craft my own path, like understanding. Maybe at that time it wasn't okay, and I don't think like I would have loved to do astrophysics, like getting the basics. So like the basic knowledge, but maybe doing research in astrophysics, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. Like I really, really like what I'm doing now, like with hydrothermal vents and mixing chemistry with geochemistry. I really like it. So maybe I would have ended up, here, even if I did astrophysics. Who knows? Anyway, we cannot look at the past, but I think like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm an inspiration, but if something comes up, is that just maybe take your time, like to understand who you are, what you want to do, because it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. I was always frustrating, like, what am I going to do? I don't know who I am. What is this? Okay, let's go to this country. Let's go to this other country. Let's travel for 1 year. But those are all experiences that at the time, yes, I was so frustrated. But now I'm happy I did it, because I understood what I wanted to do and like what direction I wanted to take, which of course is always changing, but I know the overall trajectory, let's say.
Oh, you know what you said that you don't know that you are an inspiration to someone or not, but I must tell you that you are, because when you are, struggling, when you are frustrated, I don't know what to do with my life, or you are, creating your own path, you are not just creating that path for yourself, but for others as well, because someone somewhere in the world is looking up to you. Okay, she did this archaeobiology. That's such a super great project. Even the space museum project you did, it's such a noble thing to do. And, somewhere who's looking at this talk show, or someone who's reading your profile, or someone is going through your work, they'll be inspired that, she did it, I can do it too. So you are an inspiration, Selene, and
Thanks.
you are a great inspiration, honestly. Even I was moved by your profile, because I was like, wow, she's doing so many great things. And I came to know about archaeobiology through you only. So I was like, that's such
Thanks.
a great project. And I work in geoheritage conservation, and I looked at your project of the moon base. So I was like, okay, wow, she did something similar to what I do on Earth. I do conserve geological sites, and she did the similar project for moon. And even I was very happy, and I was very inspired by your profile. That wow, she's doing great
Thanks.
things. So you should be happy that you have made it.
Thanks.
You have made it. You are
Cool.
doing great.
Doesn't feel I made it, but we're
Yeah,
close,
you
I
you
hope.
have a very long way to go, but you have made it. You have, what
Yeah.
your hard work was, you have got it. That, you are at ELSI now, which is a very renowned
Yeah.
institute for the space exploration, or for the astrobiology. Even I wanted to be there, but things didn't work out. But it's such a great institute, and you're doing great. You are managing so many things. You are prioritizing it properly. I am moved by your life, honestly.
Thanks.
So, Sally, it was really great talking to you, and I'm pretty sure that whosoever listens to this, or whosoever is watching this, will be moved by your story and will be inspired to, take up multiple roles and prioritize it and, do something great. Or maybe took up archaeobiology. So thank you so much, Selene, once again for being my guest on the AADYA Geo Talks for the very special day that is National Space Day. And thank you once again.
Yeah, thanks to you for having me. It's been great,
Great.
honestly. Thanks so much.
So, to our viewers, I just want to say that keep dreaming, and you never know which path or which sector or which degree in your life will move to space science or to, your passion. And it's okay if even if you're in your 20s or in your 30s and you don't know what is your passion or what you want to do in your life. You can, try different things, and when you are in your 40s or 50s, maybe then you will discover it. Okay, this is my passion, or this is what I want to do, and it's never late. You don't have to follow the rigid or the conventional age line, like in my 30s I have to be sorted, in my 40s I have to be sorted. No, you don't have to. So take your own time, take your own path, create your own path, and get inspired from multiple people, or maybe inspired from just one person, but just move ahead and at your own pace. So thank you so much for to the audience, and thank you so much, Selene. It was really nice talking to you. I am moved and I am so honored to have you.
No, thanks. Yeah, thanks again for having me in this special day. Think all the best with the future.
Thank you.